and welcome to the Stockholm Resilience Centre. We're here with Sarah Cornell, and we're going to talk a little bit about her research. Hello, Sarah. Hi. Who are you, and how would you describe yourself?
That's a great way to start an interview. As you said, my name's Sarah Cornell, and I now describe myself as an interdisciplinarian. I started out as an environmental chemist, but over the many last few years, I've become more and more involved in research across different disciplinary boundaries.
Speaking of boundaries, you've done a lot of work on the planetary boundaries, but what specifically are you working on currently, or what have you worked on in the past that you would like to talk about?
I've done 3 areas of work, I think, that I've done in the past that I'm still intending to carry forward. One is really making sure that we keep track of the very rapidly evolving science of component science that's part of the big system picture that we're trying to understand with the planetary boundaries.
What do you mean by component science?
Very separate communities are working on things like the nitrogen cycle or the water cycle or climate dynamics on a large scale, and of course the relationship of climate dynamics on a smaller scale with land use and ecosystem change, for example. So a large part of my job is just to try to keep track of the literature in all of those fields. The other big strand of my job is actually to keep the conversations going, to really make sure that these different scientists from these different fields come together somehow and build up a joined up story of global environmental change. And I'd say the final strand is really about how we pull all of these bits of knowledge together and try to make them useful for people. So increasingly we're working with companies. For a long time we've worked with policymakers, and more I'm trying to make sure that what we understand and what we know about the changing world can also make sense to just everyday people.
That's great.
It is, it's fun.
And what else are you working on within the planetary boundaries realm?
One task that I'm taking on this year, in fact, is to try to look at the planetary boundaries science, the global change questions, from a rather new perspective. I'm going to look at it from a gendered perspective. How would women see the planetary boundaries? How does change in these processes affect women and men differently? Does it affect them differently, or are we actually one universal global humanity? And if I get far enough, then I'm interested to know what the options for action are that we should be targeting at different groups in society, like men and women and other people people from different groups who can take action at different levels.
So this is a work in progress. Do you have any early insights that you would like to share?
At the moment, it's still very much a load of notes on the back of an envelope almost. There is a lot of work on the gender dimensions of climate or ecosystem change, for example. It tends not to be very visible. And it certainly isn't visible in the big global assessments. So although people are working on these issues, and they're very important in policy contexts, for example, and an example of that too is the work that is happening here at SRC with GRADE. For those of you who don't know, GRADE is a global program for international development, bringing resilience ideas to the large scale. This work tends to be still just little fragments in the really big picture of global change. It hasn't had the high-level visibility that it obviously needs, because this is our world and we are different in the world, and we all want a sustainable future.
Yeah, we definitely do. And a final question, who is a woman that inspires you in your work?
A woman? I'd like to mention a couple, actually.
You can mention a couple.
There are some fantastic women scientists who've really shown leadership in global change research, and in being jolly nice humans at the same time. One, for example, is Diana Liverman, the human geographer in Arizona. Another one I really look up to is my colleague Catherine Richardson in Copenhagen, who heads the Sustainability Science Unit there. And another real inspiration is Mary Midgley, the moral philosopher, who spent a lot of work thinking about how we understand global change processes, Gaia, if you want to call it that, and bringing a sense of responsibility. She's an inspiration because she went back to research in her 50s. And I first met her when she was well into her well into her 80s. And she's just been an important inspiration as well. Carry on a career for long, because it can make a big difference.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you. It's been lovely thinking about these things.